Good morning, boys and girls. It's good to be with you again this morning as we continue our Bible stories. These last weeks, we've been following the people of Israel as God brought them out of slavery when they were enslaved in Egypt. And he set them free and led them through the Red Sea. Remember how he had parted the Red Sea and led them across on dry ground. And then when they were traveling in the wilderness, God was providing for them. Remember, as he provides for them the food to eat. We called it manna. It was a crust-like substance, like bread, that people would gather each morning. And he provided the water for them, such as when Moses struck the rock and the water flowed from it. And last we looked at God gave them the Ten Commandments there on the mountain. The Ten Commandments that would guide them and how they were to live. For 40 years, boys and girls, God led them through the wilderness, providing for them each day food and water, protecting them from enemies. And finally, they reached the place where they were about to enter that promised land, the land that God said that he would give to them, as he said to Abraham long, long ago. When they reached near that promised land, Moses died. He had been their leader all these years. But now God chose a new leader. His name was Joshua. And God told Joshua, "Do not fear, because I am with you, like I was with Moses. And I will protect you, and I will guide you. Know that I am with you always." And boys and girls, that's his word to us too. God is with us every day. He's with us always. We don't see him, but he's there. He's protecting and watching over us. And so it's time now for the people to enter the promised land. And the priests carried this box on two long poles. And that box contained the Ten Commandments that God had carved in stone long ago. And God said to the priests, "Step out at the edge of the water," because there was a Jordan River, a river separating where they were from the land that they were going to. And so God said to the priests, "Step out." They stepped out into the water, and suddenly, just like the Red Sea, boys and girls, the waters parted. The waters separated, and the people could cross over on dry land. But when they got to the new land they were to live, it was filled with other people who did not like the people of Israel. They were their enemies. So that the people of Israel would have to defeat them in battle and conquer them so that they could live in this new land that God promised them. So they come to this city. Its name was Jericho. And the people inside were protected. There were these great walls around the city, boys and girls, and you could only go in through gates. Otherwise, and when anybody came that they didn't want to come in, they would close the gates. No one could get in unless they allowed them. These walls protected them. They were great walls. And God said, "I'm going to show you that I'm leading you." So for 6 days, God had the priests carrying this box on the long poles with the Ten Commandments in. They would lead the way, and the people would march around the walls one time each day. And on the seventh day, God said, today you're going to march around 7 times. 7 times. And when you have finished that march, the priests who had these horns that blew and made great sound, we're going to blow. And God said, when they blow those horns, you shout, shout with all your might, and you will see how God will enable you to defeat the enemy. And so they marched around that city 7 times, and the priests carrying this box on the long poles that carried the 10 Commandments led the way. And then when they finished that 7th time, the priests blew those horns. As you could see in today's picture, the priests blowing those horns, blowing them loud. And then the people shouted, yay! 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 And you know what, boys and girls? The walls collapsed. Pardon me, boys and girls. The walls collapsed. The walls fell down. And they could defeat the enemy. God led them to victory. They could defeat the enemy. And God's with us every day too, protecting us and watching over us. We don't have to fear either, because God watches over us as he did the people of Israel. God bless you, boys and girls. And I'll see you again next Sunday.